Hello, boys and girls. Okay, hello, girls. Physiological effects of cold. The microphone on the other day started to go out, so for gracious sake, we're going to go over this really quick again. One of the things that you certainly need to know is going to be on slide 4, right? What was that? Come on, move. I know what it is. Hunting response. Can you tell me what hunting response is? Hunting response. You remember hunting response? After 20 minutes or so, instead of vasoconstriction, you get vasodilation. Instead of it being cold, it starts to bring in blood and get warmer. You need to know that it is like a fill in the blank. Got it? Know that part of your slide. All right. Cold in general is more penetrating than heat. The fat lets it go through better than the heat. All right. And once it's been cooled through the fat, it lasts longer than heat effects because the fat acts like an insulator. That was pretty simple, huh? You guys even with me today? All right, we gotta wake up. Cooling also has the ability to decrease muscle fatigue and increase and maintain muscular contraction. This is because of the decrease of the local metabolic rate and the decrease in the tissue temperature. So you can do that in rehab. Use a cold whirlpool. Say somebody's got a bruise on their bicep. From a cold whirlpool, now they can move it. Okay, as opposed to or a thigh bruise. All right, cool. So cold whirlpools can be helpful. All right, we talked about Raynaud's phenomenon and that some people are allergic to ice. Shows up looking like hives. Okay, so start off by not putting it on their skin and putting it on either a paper towel or their shirt or etc. That doesn't work. They might not be able to use ice at all. So there are people who are allergic to ice. Now, I think yesterday y'all played with ice cups, didn't you? Does it get colder faster with an ice cup, or does it get colder faster with an ice bag? As an ice cup. Why? Huh? Right under your skin. It's right on your skin. And what happens to the ice on the ice cup? It does what? It melts. So what's colder, ice or water? Ice. Because it's got to be 32 degrees, right? And if it's above 32 degrees, then it's going back to water. So if you're using an ice cup, the water just, gravity pulls it down, it's away. So you still got ice on there. You put an ice bag on, it's trapped inside that bag. Ice floats, so the water's next to your skin inside that bag, so it's actually not near as cold. Well, it's not as cold, but it's pretty close. So an ice massage is used over small muscle areas, and seldom is there tissue damage. You only need to go like 6 or 7 minutes, because remember when you did it, it was colder quicker, right? So an ice bag, on the other hand, you need to go 15 to 20 minutes. So cold or ice water immersion. Place the limb of an injured anatomy in 50-degree water. The collagen, all right, what is collagen? Your cartilage? No, that's cartilage. You're thinking cartilage. Collagen. That's what scar tissue is made of. Okay? So we can find somebody who has had hamstring pulls, and so you'll take your fingers and you'll just rub it down the muscle, and you'll feel like little M&Ms on it. All right? Little circles that are harder, but not like a marble. And they're raised. And that's the collagen that fills up. So it fills up the hole. So here I've torn my muscle, all right? You're not going to feel, it's not going to ever come back to be original. You're going to feel that muscle and say it comes back to here. And then all the other places where it was torn, it gets filled up with what's called collagen. And that collagen gets brittle when it's cold. So you got to be careful when you're using ice as far as trying to return the athlete to activity. Why we don't ice before activities? Okay, we make the tissue gets more brittle. All right. So cryotherapeutic effects. All right, you got ice bags. Wet ice is best, but it is messier. The wet ice, like I put it in a towel. Remember the other day? And they make a little deal that is a terry cloth. You put ice on the inside of it, and then it velcros shut. So that way, it's not like you're trying to make it with a towel. They actually, this one guy makes this stuff. All right, and you put it on, and you just wrap it around. It is messier, but the thing about it though is it's colder because you don't have water staying there in between the ice and the tissue. So ice packs, wet ice is best but messier. Chemical packs can also be used, but use those with caution. You know what I'm talking about? The chemical packs, they look like little white bags or little white bags, and you pick them up and you pop them, you squeeze them, and then the inside bag pops, and then all the chemicals mix and it turns into the instant ice bag. See them on ambulances and stuff like that, right? No, you've never seen that? Well, they make these things. Now, here's the thing about those. You never know how cold they're going to get. Ice is 32 degrees. All right? You don't know how cold this chemical reaction is going to get. So they're not as safe as using ice. So you have to be more careful. If you're using any of those commercial type chemical packs, I would certainly have something between the skin and that chemical pack to keep from causing any tissue damage. If a little bit of ice is good, is a whole lot of ice better? If a little bit of ice is good, all right, so if it's 15 minutes good, an hour is going to be better. No? You all know what drop foot is? Okay. Do you know where your perineal nerve is? Huh? No, not. Let me see this leg here. Right here on her leg. You can bend it. That's what I'm trying to do. Right here on her leg, all right? You can feel that bone right there. Okay? That's your what? If that's the tibia, then that's the fibula. All right? And so I can go right here and I can go behind it and oh yeah. If I can get it just right, I can trap that nerve and she'll feel it in her toes. Okay? If I trap that nerve and roll it over that bone, she'll feel it in her toes. That's how close it is to the skin. Okay? So here's one of my horror stories again. I go to a job. This girl who plays volleyball, they've already started. I get there and I'm going, okay, who's hurt and what's going on? Well, this girl's hurt. What's the matter? She has drop foot. And what drop foot is where you cannot dorsiflex your foot. You can't bring it up. You see it a lot in stroke patients. You ever see a stroke patient where they have to walk and swing their foot out? And the reason they swing their foot out is because if you try to walk and you can't pick your foot up, you're going to trip because you're going to get so far, and that's drop foot. She got drop foot by volleyball injury. How'd she get it? Exactly, you're right. She put ice on there and went to sleep. And 2 hours of ice on the perineal nerve palsied her nerve, and she never had 100% strength again. And she could only play if she was taped and had figure eights to help keep her foot from having drop foot. And that was still at a questionable deal. But poor girl, that's what happens when you don't pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing. Basal coolant sprays. Anybody ever watch baseball? I watch baseball on TV. You watch some baseball this summer, and you'll see somebody that'll get hit by a pitch. They pull out this little thing out of their pocket. It looks like a great big space needle or something. All right, and they turn the nozzle on it, and it's full of a basal coolant spray, and it just sprays on them, and it chills it down. I think it's called epichloride, right? Huh? Oh, it's great stuff. Holy smokes, you can put it there. They'll use it like if they're going to aspirate a joint or suck the fluid out of a joint, because you're really not going to feel the needle, except for when it goes in. So they'll freeze the spot where they want to put the needle in, and once they get it frozen and numb, they'll stick the needle in, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then they'll pull out the joint, pull out the fluid out the joint. So it's a really quick type deal. It will reduce a muscle spasm. It will increase your range of motion, and it will also mostly seen at baseball because, well, that's just where you just happen to see it. But you'll see it in other sports, possibly. All right, you have to have a prescription in order to get it. So, thermo, all of that was cryo, and now it's thermo. So thermo sounds like heat. So we have thermotherapy, that is, well, the heating pads, hydrocollator pads. What else around here is thermotherapy? Woo! From the peanut gallery, she throws out an ultrasound, and she's right. So, heat is an energy form that increases molecular activity by conduction, convection, and radiation. Got that? Did we already has this class already done heat illness? We did it last year, right? Remember conduction, convection, radiation? All right? So you can get rid of the microwave oven, and if I'm going to bake cookies in an oven, the best oven is a convection oven, because a convection oven does what? Circulates the air. Okay? So convection is whatever it is circulating. So if I'm outside, just standing there, that's the air. If I'm swimming, that's the water. If I'm using the whirlpool, that's the water. So that can be, the whirlpool could be either cryotherapy or thermotherapy. So radiation, where's radiation? Something from something really big. The sun. Yes, you're pulling out. And conduction. Conduction. It's how that one does it by convection. Hydrocollator pads do it by conduction. By touching. Okay? By touching. So, all right, the thermotherapy modes are moist, dry, superficial, and deep. Superficial meaning that close to the skin, deep means down into the muscle belly itself. There's another thing that we don't have, and there's not a whole lot of training rooms that have it anymore, but it's trying to make a comeback called diathermy. So the diathermy machine is also a thermotherapy. So the desirable effects of heat include increase the extensibility of the collagen tissues. Remember, we just told you that cold makes collagen more brittle. Heat makes it more flexible, pliable. All right? Decreasing joint stiffness, reducing pain, relieving muscle spasms, reducing inflammation, edema, and allowing the swelling to spread out in all directions in the post-acute phase of healing, and to increase the blood flow. All right? Because we said 2 days ago about that guy that had a bursa, and he got it ice, and he couldn't suck it out. He couldn't aspirate it. But if we put heat on it, it makes it more supple. All right? I mean, it's just common sense. You see these things with Jell-O, right? Jell-O melts if you add heat. It coagulates if it's cold. So, with thermotherapy, all right, if you get muscle cramps caused by ischemia, what is ischemia? You know that right off your brain? Great job. Or did you read this slide? Cool. All right, well, see, because all these answers could be right around you. Now, so if you get a lack of blood supply to a muscle group or a body part, you run track. You know, there's people who get shin splints, and we've all seen this at certain times of our lives where, oh, holy smokes, well, we'll just tape your calves all the way up. What happens to the calves? They don't get the blood supply because now we've got tape constricting our capillaries and constricting our blood supply. Then they end up getting cramps, and so they blame it that they're out of shape or whatnot. And actually, it's something that the trainer put on them, which is crazy. Cool. All right, so ischemia, muscle cramps caused by ischemia can be relieved by heat because the heat is going to increase the blood supply. All right? You can't do that. All right, here's some things that you got to have special considerations for. Huh? No. So here's some special considerations for thermotherapy. Never apply, and now these, obviously you're going to see these again. So you never apply where there's loss of sensation. Does that make sense? I don't have any feeling. I think I'll put some heat on it. What do we tell somebody every time that we put a hydrocollator pack on? If you feel as if it's burning, they can't feel. So they won't be able to tell it's burning. So you're not going to put on heat to some place that they can't decipher whether or not they're getting burned. So if there's a lack or a loss of sensation, you don't want to do it immediately after an injury. Just like we told you, don't listen to grandma and put it in hot water and Epsom salt. Okay, let's get some ice on it. All right? When there is decreased arterial circulation directly over the eyes or the genitals, over the abdomen during pregnancy, or to body parts that exhibit signs of acute inflammation. All right? So if you've already got acute inflammation, we're not going to try and recruit more blood. All right? So those there, I believe that is a listing question because it's set up that way on here, isn't it? So here's your moist heat pack. It's a hydrocollator. All right? You'll retain your heat for 20 to 30 minutes. Okay? Now, does anybody want to volunteer and put their hand in that water over there? Why not?
Hot.
How hot is hot? Let's talk about hot. What's the temperature that you put in 212? That would be boiling.
Yeah.
That's what you think that is 212 degrees? All right, because all this is going to be in Fahrenheit. So how hot do we get a whirlpool? Who said that? 104 degrees. Is that on here? Yes, 104 degrees. How hot's the body? 98.6. So at 104, right? Is that hotter than the body? So we're going to recruit blood to whatever we put in 104. So this says here that it's 160 to 170. What's scalding? I mean, really, seriously, when you guys take a shower and it feels like it's warm water, is it 98.6 or higher? Yeah. So 100-degree water is nothing, is it? No. Scalding is 120. Okay? It's not like blistering. It's scalding. How about the old lady over in McDonald's? So how hot is this? All right, well, we'll stick this great big thermometer in there, and then we'll come back here to it in a second. It'll keep. I'm going to say that that is probably close to about 160, 165. Okay? You can stick your hand in it, and it's not going to like burn you right away. You should leave it in there. It certainly will. Okay? That's why those tongs are there. That's why it has those little deals on the dealie, too, that you pull them out. All right? So you got to be careful. At 160, 170 degrees, tell them, if this feels like it's burning, it's because it is. Roll over, jump, scream, do whatever you do to make sure you get this off of you. Okay? So they let us know, we can put a towel, another layer between them and the hydrocollator. All right? Whirlpools, no higher than 104 degrees. And you have to be careful with full body immersion. So if I get, what happens to the blood when it finds that place that's 104? What's one of the effects of heat? Yes, it goes to it. It increases that blood supply. So let's say somebody's got a low back, and we stick him in the whirlpool where he's seated in that little bench across there, and the jet's blowing on his back, and he's got water all the way up to his collarbone. His blood goes away. Yes, the blood goes down where it's warm. And if you don't have enough blood to go to the head, what do? You get lightheaded, and then you faint. And then what happens? Yeah, then we call you Bob. Why Bob? Because that's all he's doing in there is just bobbing. Okay? So meanwhile, while Bob's in the whirlpool and we're not paying any attention to him, okay, he can drown. Now, what else is like a whirlpool? It's at, quite a few houses.
A bathtub.
Jacuzzi. Well, bathtub, yeah, you can do that too. But jacuzzis, a lot of people like to take the jacuzzi and turn it up a little bit because, oh, it feels so much better. And then the crazy people, what do? They sit and mix a little drinky with it, right? Two things you don't just, and yeah, eat and drink. Not too good. I bet you'll find that there's a whole lot more people who drown in jacuzzis than what you think every year. Matter of fact, might be your homework. Did I give you homework? What's your temp, Miss Bates? So she says it looks like she's making an educated guess. It looks about 165 degrees. You got an idea. Okay. There's Bob using the whirlpool. All right. Paraffin. What is paraffin? Paraffin. It is wax. How did you know? You were coming up with some of these answers, and I'm really thinking that you're reading ahead. It's wax. You take wax. They make this little bowl or this little dealy. Wrong class.
I got dressed in like an hour.
So, anyways, you put this wax in this little container that has a heater in it, and that wax melts. Okay? So that wax melts, and it's between 126 and 130 degrees, and you certainly need to know that. All right? And it's wax mixed with mineral oil. So you got somebody who's got thumb problems, finger problems, and so forth, and so that's the size of the paraffin bath. They'll come in and they'll dip their hand in, pull it out. They'll dip their hand in, and we'll do this about 5 or 6 times and get some layers of wax, this hot wax on them. And then what you can do is you put a bag over it, and then you can actually take it and put a hydroculator pad down, put the waxy bag hand, and then put another hydroculator down, and you will certainly get your hands warmed up. Hey, here's one of the other cool things that you can do with this, and that is at halftime, but we don't live there, but at halftime or before the game, get your wide receivers to come in and heat their hands up again so they can feel the ball for at least 5 or 6 plays while they're out there. Yeah, but you can't do that and then expect them to catch the ball barehanded. They'll certainly need gloves because it's waxy and it's got mineral oils. So it's going to be a little bit of slimy, slick feeling when it's done. But it's pretty cool stuff. We don't have one mainly because, well, kids like to take the wax and just play with it. And so it makes a mess. Well, matter of fact, I think there is a paraffin bath down in the other deal, isn't there? Might be. So you need to know that temperature, though. It's 126 to 130 degrees for your paraffin. And there's a picture of somebody who has dipped their hand into the paraffin, the wax. We see you. You're doing great. All right, so moist therapy. Contrast bath. All right, so what would contrast be? Contrast. I don't even know why I'm here. You guys know these answers. You're unbelievable. Yes, it's alternating between temperatures using cold and heat. All right, if you use when a slight increase of temperature is needed without the increase of additional edema, you go back and forth between them. 3 minutes in the warm, 1 minute in the cold, and back and forth, where you end up on, I believe you end up on warm, right? All right? And what it'll do is opens the capillaries, shuts them down, opens them, shuts them down, opens them, shuts them down. And it helps get those to get rid of that swelling, that residual swelling. So both, go back again, both heat and cold will relieve pain, but they do it differently. So you got to make sure that you're not using the one that increases blood supply or blood flow if it's an acute injury. My whole rule of thumb is plain and simply, of course, it depends upon whether this person has an allergy to cold. But if they don't have an allergy to cold therapy, you pretty much can't go wrong with cryotherapy. You can go wrong putting heat on someone. So if you're not sure, then put ice on. Okay? But both will relieve pain. There's too many old remedies of heat during the initial phase that are still being used, like grandma coming in. And we've seen at least one this year, and we'll probably see one more. We see probably, it depends upon what school you're at. The other school I was at, I'd probably see one a week. They would go home and they would say, well, grandma told me to put it in hot water and Epsom salt. Well, what does she do? She'd check out over at Family Dollar. Okay, well, that education is not the same as what it is that you need to know about hot water and Epsom salt. So let's follow our directions here. So tell the athletes that under no circumstances that heat is to be used during the initial phase of the injury. Holy smokes, are we already done? Good. Grace, you got any questions you want to type on the thing right there? We can see you, so if you shake your head, you can say no. If you shake your head, you can say yes. I just muted you, so I'm taking that to no. Okay. No questions. You got all this down. Today's Thursday, so we can have the test tomorrow. That sound good? She can't, but I can see her recovery.
Okay.
Monday? All right. Well, we will review tomorrow. It gives you all weekend to do that. We don't have school Monday? No, it is this Monday. We don't have school.